What's good, guys? Go to easynpc.com for the cheapest and safest way to get caps, weapons, items in Fallout 76, and links in the description down below. Use coupon code CHIEF for 5% off. So for this video, it's gonna be my Undying tank build. So for this is actually all about survivability and using weapons that focus on me lasting longer. So things like vampires, suppressors, stuff like that actually focus heavily on just making me take more damage from my opponents, lowering their damage or increasing my health. So that's what it's all about. It actually works really well, and also I actually barely die with this build, which is really nice, and it's nice that I can actually have a full bar of health again and still feel like I'm doing something. So for this, you're gonna need a lot of different special perks. It's gonna be a really different spread from my normal builds, and also the gear is gonna be completely different. So let's get right into the build first of all. So here is the spread for my tank build. As you can see, we have a lot of the basic perks that you need. Now, for this build, we are using shotguns because that synergizes well with the suppressor effect and vampire effect, because you get a lot of hits in, so you get a lot of your health back, and also you lower the damage on your opponents, which is a big part of this build. So we're going to be using shotguns, all three shotgun perks, and blocker because, you know, taking away almost half of the opponent's melee damage, that is always useful, especially when you're using a build based around being close quarters. Next off, perception. Skeet shooter. I like this one because it causes them to be a lot more accurate. Your shotguns, they don't have that really nasty far off spread. They can get really tight, and it's almost as if you're shooting slug rounds, which pairs really well with 1 point of concentrated fire. What this does, it allows it so that way you can always land headshots. You can have it permanently going for the opponent's head, which is really useful in certain situations because it essentially can double your damage. Now these are your tanky perks all over here actually. So first off, with endurance, you got fireproof for explosions, because you'll also be throwing a couple explosions here and there. It's always nice to have a couple of nuka grenades in your back pocket. Ironclad, this gives you a really nice amount of damage resistance in general, and also 4 into Life Giver for the extra maximum health. And then since you're running 12 endurance, this adds up to a lot of maximum health. You have 375, and for some of my other builds where buddy characters, you only get like 250 health. So this is a 50% increase on your health bar, which is actually massive. Next off, we have charisma. Field Surgeon. This is so good for actually making sure that you can stay alive, as stim packs working much more quickly. That is a must-have perk. It's so good for any build that isn't a bloodied build. You're gonna want Field Surgeon. Lone Wanderer for solo play, but if you're not running this in the solo field, I recommend actually running instead these two perks, which are going to be either Tenderizer or Team Medic, or some combination of them. Because you'll be popping stim packs so often, it's good for healing your teammates, and also Tenderizer just so your teammates do more damage. But I play a lot of solo, so Lone Wanderer is where I go. Suppressor, because the opponents will deal less damage, and also it really does pair well with your spread attacks. So when you use your shotguns with that explosive damage, and also your Tesla rifle, it actually goes really good, hand in hand. Next up is First Aid. Restores more health per stim pack. This was Field Surgeon. It goes really well together for actually getting yourself from 20% health up to full health in no time at all. Now, for agility, this is a big one that I like to go for, Born Survivor. Falling below 40% health, it will automatically use a stim pack, which that will in turn regenerate you to full health, and also since it activates every 20 seconds, this will constantly keep you up. This is what makes it so you do not need to worry about your health bar at all. It is such a good perk. If you want though, you might want to only run 1 point so you save some special stats. I like running it at 3 because it makes it safer for me, but it's all up to the player's choice. This is how I run it though. Enforcer. Now, the stagger chance is actually per bullet, so because of that, when you're using a shotgun, it actually staggers opponents really often. So you only need it to like 2 in order to actually make it so it's almost guaranteed every single time you shoot an enemy, they'll stagger. So I only keep it at 2. Other than that, it's kind of iffy whether you want it or not. I just like to stagger. Now for luck, a lot of your damage is going to be coming from concentrated fire, making it so it's all headshots, and your shotgun damage, but I like to also go for a lot of VATS criticals. So that's what we're going to working with here. So a lot of your damage is actually going to be coming from VATS when you use concentrated fire. So it makes sense to actually invest a little bit into luck, where you can be dealing a lot of damage with your critical hits. So we run Critical Savvy for 55% of crit meter, and we're going to be running Bloody Mess for more damage, Class Freak and Starch Genes to make sure our mutations do not screw us over. Now these are the mutations I'm running. Bird Bones, more agility, the strength becomes negligible because of the other perk, Carnivore, Chameleon, Eagle Eyes, crit damage, Perception. The Perception makes you more accurate with concentrated fire, which is really useful. Marsupial, so that way you have some mobility. Scaly Skin for that extra damage resistance and energy resistance. And Speed Demon for you speed and movement speed. Now, a lot of you guys might be thinking, why are you not running Grounded or some of the other perks? And that is because simply it's not good on this build. Like Adrenal Reaction, it will lower your max health. You do not want that. You're not going to be planning on being at low max health at all, so there is 0 point in running this perk. And then for Grounded, it lowers your energy damage, which will hurt your ability to use your Tesla rifle, and healing factor because you want your stim pack, which counts as a chem, to be at maximum potential. So that is why I'm not running those 3. Those are usually bread and butter perks for most people, but on this build, I think it's actually worse to have those. And yeah, that's it for the build. Link in the description down below for where you can actually find it. So, for the weapons you want to use in this build, it's going to be things that are shotguns with vampires or suppressors or medics, depending on whether you're going to be playing with a lot of teammates, or instigating things that give raw damage output increase, or it's going to be doing something to help you on the defensive side, which is what this build is all about, is being defensive. After all, the best offense is a good defense. So that is kind of what you're going for. That is why I'm using a Vampire's Explosive Combat Shotgun. So it has a good magazine size, it has a really good healing through the Vampire effect, and the Explosive guarantees that I'm getting a lot of the healing from its effects. So they just work really well together. And I also use a Suppressor's Tesla, which I already did a video on that. If you guys haven't checked it out, I recommend checking it out. It's on a cool legendary weapon. It's a legendary Suppressor's Fire Rate Tesla rifle. I actually really enjoy it. It is really good for me. Now, for the armor, you're going to want armors with specific legendary effects. Now, I like having ones with increased action point refresh speed or increased radiation resistance as their major effect. Those are the only 2 I really mess around with. The other ones don't really seem that necessary, unless maybe +1 endurance, but even then, the amount of health increase is actually negligible. Even with 5 pieces of endurance increasing gear, it only adds up to 25 extra health. But I actually like going for armor that is either auto stim, vanguards, mutants, or life saving. Those are the 4 main ones I mess with, and then assassins if you're playing a lot of PvP. The reason for that is mutants provides a steady amount of damage resistance and energy resistance at all health. Vanguard gives you a lot at really high health, and since you're going to be at high health most of the time, that works really well. It's just mutants gives you a lot more consistency, which consistency is nice depending on who you're up against, so that's why I like using mutants sometimes. And then the life saving actually is just a way to get back up on your feet. The 50% chance to revive yourself actually does happen quite often, so it is really useful for your situations. Like sometimes when I'm playing up against the imposter sheep squatch, that life saving piece of the gear does save my life a lot, so that's really good. And then auto stim is just like bonus if Born Survivor doesn't save you, so that's why I run Born Survivor at 3, so I can run auto stim at 1, because auto stim perk will activate at 25%, so if somehow they get through that barrier of the 40% health, and they're actually outdoing the amount of health regen that I'm getting from my stim packs, then it'll go and activate my auto stim, and that will activate another stim pack, and that will keep me alive even further. So it really does go hand in hand, and that's why I kind of like it. This build is all about getting your health back as fast as possible through using Vampire's effect on your weapons, through using these auto stims, and all these effects that actually get your stim packs to activate right away as soon as you're low on health. And then also lowering your opponent's damage through suppressor effects and things like that. It's all about creating this very defensive playstyle where your opponents cannot kill you. And this makes it so a lot of areas where usually you're taking a lot of damage and it is really brutal on you in order to survive, it makes it pretty easy because they can't kill you with this build. As long as you are pacing your shots for your health and your suppressor effects, you should be able to survive it, no problem. Anyways, that's it for the video, guys. Hope all of you guys enjoy. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you enjoyed it, and have a good day.